Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for All Ohio Students, sponsored by the Ohio Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. So thank you for attending. We're going to give about 60 seconds here for everyone to come in and get settled, and then we will do some housekeeping items and table setting, and then hand it over to Samford for the presentation. So hang tight for just a second. We'll get started in just a minute. All right, once again, welcome in everyone to the Samford session. We'd like to welcome everybody in again to our virtual college exploration for all Ohio students, sponsored by OACAC and StriveScan. Number one, just a few table setting things before we hand it off to our presenter. How do I ask questions? There's a Q&A button to type your questions to the presenters at any time. There is on a live chat feature, and your microphone and camera are off, keeps everything nice and clean and focused on the presentation. So keep that in mind, but also keep in mind that you can sign up for more sessions that you're interested in from other colleges and universities by going to oacac.org to view the whole schedule there. And this session and all other sessions recorded during this window will be available on demand, so you can rewatch this or go back and check other universities and sessions out as well at oacac.org. And with that, I will now hand it off to our presenters. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you. Hey guys, my name is Riley and I'm an Associate Director of Admission here at Samford. And I'm pulling up my PowerPoint real quick so y'all can kind of go with me on this exploration journey as we talk about Samford a little bit. I did go to Samford. Absolutely loved my time at Samford. I'm sure I'll probably refer back to it a few times over the next 20 or so minutes. So I'm sorry I'm a has-been, but I still love it. It's a really great school, and excited to tell you guys a little bit more about it today. So if you're not very familiar with Samford, I'll give you a little bit of an overview. We are located just outside Birmingham, Alabama. And you may be thinking, I have no interest in going to school in Alabama, or I've never even heard of Birmingham, Alabama. And if you're there, I was there too. That's okay. I certainly never thought that I would find myself going to college in Birmingham. Certainly never thought that I would find myself living in Birmingham after college. But really, Samford is the thing that drew me there, and then fell in love with the city, fell in love with the area. We have just over 5,700 students. I know that's not what the slide says, but these were made before our fall enrollment came in. We're about 50 students. So Samford it's a nice size. It's big enough that every day when you're walking to class, you're going to see somebody that you know, but every day when you're walking to class, you're going to see somebody you've never seen before. And I really kind of loved that dynamic. When I was looking at colleges, a lot of the schools that I was looking at were kind of the large state public institutions. I had grown up in a small town, and I liked the idea of being part of a big community and being able to do a lot of fun stuff and get involved in a lot of different things. I felt like bigger schools had more free t-shirts and free concerts, and that was all very appealing. And so there was a lot about the kind of larger environment that was appealing to me. But I had visited some of my friends at larger schools and really didn't feel super comfortable in a lot of the kind of large lecture hall classroom environment. Like I said, I had grown up in a smaller town and was used to being in smaller classes where my teachers knew me, I knew my classmates. We had lots of opportunities to discuss and debate and, do hands-on learning and projects and all of that kind of stuff. And the idea of going from that just into a massive lecture hall with 300 people, where the teacher didn't know me, but definitely didn't know if I wasn't there. It wasn't what I was used to. And so I had some questions about it. And I really kind of felt stuck. I felt like on the one hand, by going to a big school, I was going to miss out on some of that academic intentionality that I was accustomed to. But on the other hand, I felt like if I went to a small school, I was going to miss out on a lot of the fun of college. So again, I really felt stuck. And for me, that's where Samford came in. Samford was enough of both worlds that it gave me kind of everything I needed to be happy. And it's different for everybody, right? Kind of what your threshold for size and activities and intentionality, what you're looking for. But if you are looking for that kind of school that's intentionally in the middle, that is us. That's what we try to do. And I think that those two things are some of the really notable things about Samford. There are a lot of big schools, there are a lot of small schools, but there are not a ton of schools that really try to incorporate elements of both. And you guys can see here a few of those kind of statistics that bear out what I'm saying. I think one of the things that makes Samford feel even larger than it is this fact that about 70% of our students are from out of state. In fact, this fall, it was 75% of our freshmen were from out of state. So you guys being from Ohio, you're not the only ones who aren't from Alabama. You're not the only ones who aren't from the South. I think now we're up to 48 states actually, or 47 or 48 states. And I think it's over 30 countries. So students coming from all over the country and all over the world to come to Samford. It's not 13th grade. It's not everybody from a high school who picks up and goes to the same college. And so everybody's coming here with that desire to meet new people, that desire to be a part of a new community. So you have this amazing opportunity to really meet a lot of people and a lot of people from a lot of places, which is very exciting. Makes for a really cool first month of school, especially as you're meeting people from places you've maybe never even heard of. You can see we have Division I sports, which is so exciting, a great outlet for being able to kind of have some school spirit, have a ton of fun, great football team, tailgate on the quad before those football games and all that kind of stuff. Just got a new basketball coach this year that we're really excited about. Our baseball team is amazing, really great soccer, volleyball, all kinds of really great ways for you guys to kind of get plugged in and have, again, that larger school experience, but kind of in a smaller school context. Hundreds of clubs and organizations. We also have Greek life here on campus. About half of our students are Greek. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can do that. There's housing on campus. There's all kinds of fun stuff that comes along with that. We're up now actually over 180 majors, minors, and concentrations. So pretty much anything you could want to study, we've got that opportunity for you. Again, intramural clubs or intramural sports, club teams, everything from the super normal like flag football all the way over to more random stuff like wiffle ball or bubble soccer or poker or ping pong. Like we've got all of it. Study abroad, 50 programs in 13 countries on 6 continents, getting up close now to half of our students study abroad. So that's kind of a lot of the big of Samford. But you can see again, the small of Samford is in this 13-to-1 student to faculty ratio. Our average class has 18 students. You are not going to be in those large lecture hall classes. I think the largest academic class I had at Samford had about 35 people in it. And I went to grad school right after Samford, where I thought, you get smaller classes as you go through your education. The smallest class I think I had maybe 30 people in it. So it's a very unique experience in that you really get to know your professors, you get to know your classmates. So if you want to do internships or research, or if you just don't know what you want to do at all, you're going to be in an intentional environment to kind of be able to start to figure that out. And really the impact of that is you can see 97% of our students are employed or in grad school within 6 months of graduation. And they follow up with every single student because again, it's that kind of place where every individual matters. And we want to make sure that everybody who's a part of the Samford experience is successful, is moving on to whatever comes next, and is finding fulfillment in what comes after college, whether that's grad school, whether that's employment, whatever it might be. Another thing I think that really kind of stands out about Samford this year in the Wall Street Journal college rankings, Samford was ranked number 2 in the country for student engagement. And I think that really speaks to exactly what I'm saying. Like if you want the kind of college experience where you're going to be able to be really involved and really just kind of take college and wring it out and get the absolute most of it, both outside the classroom and inside the classroom, Samford is the kind of environment where you're going to be able to make that happen. And that's what made me fall in love with Samford. And then there were a couple of other things about Samford that for me were just benefits. They were just kind of extra things that really were great and kind of transformational during my time. transformational is not a word. And the first of those, I think, is that Samford it's a faith-based school. So if you're looking to grow, not just academically and socially during college, but also spiritually in college, Samford's going to be able to give you a lot of ways to do that. And even if that's not at the top of your to-do list while you're in school, that's okay. It's an important part of what makes Samford, but you don't have to want that to be the very top thing on your list while you're in school. I think though that at Samford you are going to find a community that is kind and that is nurturing and that is supporting. And I think all of that really stems from the faith-based nature of Samford. You know, we try to do good for one another, for our community, and really lift people up. That's the kind of community that Samford really strives to be. And I think that's based on our faith mission. So whether that is super important to you or not super important to you, you're going to be in a community that you kind of reap the benefits of that environment either way. And then finally, and again, like I said, I had not anticipated this being a strength of Samford, but location. Birmingham, Alabama. If you've never been to Birmingham, it's a great city. About 1.1 million people in the metro area, so big enough that there's a ton of stuff to do, but not so big that traffic's absolutely insane and you feel like you're lost the second you land. We're about 15 minutes away from the airport, so really easy to make a visit to campus or for our students to get home on breaks and things like that. But Birmingham, a couple of industries that are really strong here, the healthcare industry, and anything really in business, banking, entrepreneurship, a lot of things kind of in that world. And so our students are so fortunate that Samford, as the largest private university in Alabama, as the top ranked school in Alabama, the employers in the Birmingham area want Samford students. They're looking for Samford students as interns. They're looking for Samford students right after they graduate. So you've got a ton of opportunity that's right outside your back door for Birmingham. And that's not just true for kind of the things that are related to your academics. That's true for fun stuff too. Birmingham has some amazing outdoor opportunities. So if you like being outside, if you like hiking in particular, we've got a ton of great stuff for that. If you like concerts, there's great concerts that come through. There's amazing food in Birmingham, Alabama. We definitely know a thing or two about food, specifically barbecue. So definitely come down and check it out. I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised by what you find in Birmingham. Okay, so now that you know a little bit more about who Samford is, let's talk a little bit more kind of about how that has played out this year, because obviously we're living in COVID times and things look a little bit different at a lot of schools, and things look different at Samford as well, but not as different as you might think. We are really, really proud that 86% of all of our classes this fall include in-person learning. And that 14% that doesn't include in-person learning, that even includes graduate programs that have always been done online. So for undergrads, that number is even higher than 86%. In fact, it's over half of all of our classes are fully face-to-face. Now, obviously, we're wearing masks and we're keeping our distance and we're being safe and all that kind of stuff. But if you didn't love the online experience that you had in the spring or that you may be still experiencing here in the fall of 2020, know that Samford, even at kind of the height of all of the difficulty of planning for college during a pandemic, has continued to prioritize the in-person experience because we feel like that's what we say we think is important, and it'd be kind of hypocritical of us not to. So I'm thrilled at the ways that our faculty have worked to make this work. And I think it really says a lot about the character of Samford. And I'm really excited that's kind of the way that things have gone this fall. Our students are back. We've got about 3 more weeks until they go home for break, but they've been able to be here all semester and have a really great experience. We are also giving students some additional opportunities this year, high school students, some additional opportunities this year. We are allowing students to apply test optional, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. We've got a lot of virtual opportunities that you guys can find out more about on our website. But we also have opportunities for you guys to come to campus, and I'll talk about that a little bit at the end. Okay, let's talk a little bit more kind of about the details of the application process here at Samford. You can see where we are now. This is the end of October, and our first round of admission notifications is released at the beginning of November. As soon as I finish this call, I get to go read several hundred applications, and that's really exciting. I cannot believe that it's already time. And so if you're considering Samford, if you're a senior, now's the time to apply, right? You will probably miss our first round of admission notifications, which happens in November, but that's completely fine. That's what December 1st is for. That is our big scholarship deadline. That's the one you do not want to miss. And you guys would still have several weeks to be able to knock things out before that. Then you can see through the spring in February, that's when our financial aid filing deadline is. We have some secondary scholarships I'll talk about in just a minute that have a February 15th deadline. And all roads obviously lead to May 1st. Samford has experienced 12 years of consecutive record enrollment. So typically, we are moving to a wait list at 12:01 a.m. on May 1st. So if you are interested in Samford, know that it's really important that you meet that December 1st deadline, and then that you meet that May 1st deadline, because those are really, really important dates for us. Okay, so in terms of the application itself, it's nothing too crazy. You guys know what an application is, you know what an essay is, but I do want to give you a little bit more insight into how we look at these things as a part of our review process. So the application itself, you can apply either through the common application, which is the way the majority of our students apply, or through our own application, which is available on our website. We do not care which one you use. You don't get bonus points for using one or the other. It's completely dependent on what your process looks like, and if you're looking at many Common App schools or not. They're just both there as a resource for you. On the application, there's a section where we ask you to tell us about your jobs, clubs, sports, activities, whatever it is that you do other than go to school. And we want you to tell us about those things. Please, tell us about what it is that you've been involved in. Tell us about how you've spent your time. Because as you'll hear me say probably several times over the next couple of minutes, our process is very holistic. We are not a school that is just looking at your grades and test scores. We are looking at every element of your application for both admission and for scholarships. So brag on yourselves. Tell us about all the stuff that you do. Next up is the essay. Do not let this freak you out. Don't get writer's block over this. For us, really, I know when I was in high school, I thought, oh my gosh, if I put the comma in the wrong place or I misspell a word, I'm going to get denied because of that. That's not really the purpose of the essay. For us, the essay is, yes, to assess your writing abilities, but honestly, maybe even more than that, is to better understand who you are as a person, and to start to get an idea of the things that you might be interested in doing in college, to kind of start to get an idea of where you fit kind of in the Samford community. The essay is just a really helpful way for us to get to know you. Then you have the kind of two traditional academic elements of your application: test scores and transcript. Again, we are giving seniors this year in 2020-21 the opportunity to apply without a test score. If you've taken the test several times, or even if you've only taken it once and you're pleased with your score, you can absolutely go ahead and apply with that test score. The intention of this policy was really for those students who haven't been able to test or have not been able to test anywhere near the rate at which they would have in a non-pandemic year. And so that's kind of the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish by allowing students to apply test optional. I do want to make it really clear, though. I know that there are some schools, that are saying, oh, well, you can apply test optional for admission, but not for scholarships. Or I've talked to some high school counselors who have asked, but really, like, are you really okay with them applying test optional? Yes, absolutely. You will be able to qualify for any scholarship we have by applying test optional, and we really do not care which route that you go. We want you to do what's best for you, and we want to open up opportunities based on that choice. So know that we know it's not your fault that the ACT and SAT kept getting canceled. So we're not going to hold that against you. High school transcripts. We look at your grades in a variety of ways. We'll look at what's reported on your transcript. We will look at your class rank if you have one. We go back and we put your GPA on a 4.0 scale, where 90 to 100 is the grading scale. So if you're on a 5-point scale or a 100-point scale or something, we put everybody on the same on the same playing field. And then we do another GPA calculation where we go in and just look at your core academic classes. So, English, social studies, math, science, foreign language, and then give you a little bit of extra credit if you've taken honors, advanced, AP, that sort of thing. So we really are trying not just to look at what your grades are overall, but what they are kind of in different categories. We look at the rigor of your curriculum. So if you went to a challenging high school, you kind of get some extra credit for that. We're always looking in the context of your school. So like myself, I said I went to a smaller school. We didn't have as many AP opportunities as some others. We're never going to penalize that student. So we really just try to kind of take into account what's been available to you and what you've taken advantage of and how you've performed in that environment. And another way that we assess all of that is through your academic recommendation. That helps us better understand the culture of your school, what kind of student you are, how you are involved, what role you play in a classroom, all of that kind of stuff. And we would request, or I guess really require, that recommendation, as it says in the title, be academic. So either comes from a teacher or a guidance counselor, college counselor, somebody like that who really knows what you're like in a school setting. If you want to send us another recommendation that's from a boss or a mentor or something like that, that's wonderful. But we need at least one that's academic in nature. Okay, so now that we've talked about the admission process, let's talk a little bit more about scholarships. I say a little bit more. We haven't talked about it at all. So let's talk about scholarships. At Samford, there are 3 different ways that a student can qualify for aid, 3 different sources of aid here at Samford. And this first category is just based on your application for admission. It requires no separate application. All you have to do is apply to the institution to be able to qualify for these scholarships. Our Crossland and our Marian scholarships, these are kind of what a lot of other schools might refer to as academic scholarships, or you may hear them referred to as merit scholarships, and they are at Samford as well. But the difference is a lot of schools are operating on a grid system where you can say, okay, I have a 27 ACT and I have a 3.7 GPA, and then you kind of find that cross point, and that's how much money you're getting. Our process is a lot more involved than that at Samford. There are a whole host of factors that we're looking at. All of these different things from your application are coming into consideration when you're going through the scholarship process. So again, it's good to know that even if you've got strong grades and or strong test scores, you're going to be competitive for these awards, but you've probably done something other than just go to school, and we're going to reward you for that as well. Our Sherman Oak Scholarship is if you've had a family member who has attended Samford, so be sure to list them on your application. It doesn't just have to be like a parent or a sibling. It could be aunt, uncle, grandparent, cousin. So be sure to list them on that application when you apply. Okay, the second category are scholarships that do require a separate application, but these aren't nearly as long and involved as all of the things that were on that first slide. So I'll walk you through what some of these look like. Some of them, like our Davis Scholarship, our Minister Dependent Scholarship, these have a December 1st deadline. Our Davis Scholarship is probably our most applied for scholarship. It's looking at ways that you've been involved or been a leader in your school or your church or your community. You kind of upload a resume, answer a few questions, like a short answer, and then you turn that in. It's $2,000 a year scholarship that can be added to anything else you already receive. It's really pretty straightforward. And like I said, we have a lot of students who apply for this one. It does have a December 1st deadline. Minister dependent, if you have a parent who works in the ministry, you can apply for this. It is a very short application. It's just asking you a couple of questions about what they do. And then finally, our departmental scholarships. A lot of different majors at Samford actually have scholarships that are available for incoming freshmen. So like our School of the Arts, anything in visual art, performing arts, theater, music, all that sort of thing. There are scholarships that are available. Business, journalism, history. I know I'm missing some, but these are just a few of those freshman scholarships, these departmental awards. Most of them have February 15th deadlines. The amount does vary, as is indicated on this page, but any of those awards, again, can be combined with anything else that you receive. And then finally, we've got need-based assistance. That does require that you file the FAFSA, which is the federal oh man, I always do this. I always act like I'm going to be able to figure it out and then I can't. Anyway, it's the federal application that you use to apply for student aid. There's a lot of F's in there, but basically what that is, it's a form that is from the government. It became available on October 1st. Again, our filing deadline for that is February 15th. Our preferred filing deadline for that is February 15th. And there are several categories of federal aid that you can qualify for. That might be loans, that might be work study. There are different grants that students can qualify for. But Samford also has a pool of money, of scholarship money, free money, that you can qualify for based on filing the FAFSA. And even if you don't qualify for something from the federal government, you might be able to qualify for something from Samford. So the vast majority of our families do file the FAFSA, though it isn't required. And it's very typical at Samford for a student to be able to qualify for something from each one of these categories and stack those together to help make Samford more affordable. And that's really what our goal is. We want to make Samford as affordable as possible for as many people as possible. That is our awarding philosophy. We are not one of those schools that's trying to give out, 50 full rides and then kind of leave everybody else in the dust to not get much scholarship at all. That's not what we're trying to do. We want to work with everybody, and we want to certainly work with everybody who wants to be at Samford. That if you feel like this is where you're supposed to be, we want to help make that happen. And you can see 90% of our class last year received aid from at least one of these categories in an effort to help make Samford a possibility for them and for their family. Y'all can see a lot more information about all of these scholarships online on the website that's down there at the bottom of the page. All right, so that's a ton of information in a really short amount of time, but I'm really grateful for you guys listening to hear a little bit more about Samford. As I said a while ago, we are giving students the opportunity to visit, even in COVID times. So we'd love to have you guys on campus. Seniors, we have an event called Senior Days. It's happening most Mondays and Fridays. We have to keep it intentionally small for social distancing and all of that kind of thing. So spots fill up pretty quickly, but you can see that on our website. And then we also offer campus tours 6 days a week. Again, these are, it's either typically you with just your family or you and one other family with a guide or a pair of guides. So it's a really intentional way to kind of see your way around campus and learn more about what Samford has to offer. So we would love to have you guys on campus sometime soon. And thank you so much for tuning in, and look forward to working with you in the days ahead.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending as I pull this up here really quickly. Thank you again for joining us, and thank you to Samford for presenting for us. There will be a quick survey after you close this window. Very quick 4-question survey will appear, and we are grateful for any feedback. OACAC, OACAC, and StriveScan are very appreciative for any feedback we get. Again, to remind you, sign up for more sessions at oacac.org. You can see the full calendar there. And this recording will be available in about a week's time, so you can review this information on demand as well at the same website, oacac.org. And with that, we'll say thank you to our panelists and thank you to everyone that has watched or that has visited live. And thank you. We'll see you very, very soon.